almost like something from a movie. Yet for a small number of collectors across the United States, that dream has already come true. And the coin at the center of this mystery is one that millions of Americans have handled without ever realizing what they were holding, the 1970 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks like just another piece of pocket change from decades ago. But hidden within certain versions of this coin are tiny details, subtle mistakes, microscopic clues that can transform an ordinary penny into a collector's treasure worth more than most houses, and today, we're going to uncover the story behind it, because somewhere out there, right now, someone could unknowingly be holding a penny that collectors would fight over. A penny worth $1 million. To understand why this coin is so special, we have to go back more than half a century. The year was 1970. America was in the middle of enormous change. The Vietnam War dominated headlines. The Apollo program was racing toward the moon. And across the country, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln pennies to keep the economy moving. Most of these coins were made at the Philadelphia Mint. And back then, something unusual was still true. Philadelphia pennies didn't carry a mint mark. Coins from Denver had a small D beneath the date. Coins from San Francisco had an S. But Philadelphia coins simply showed the date. No letter. No symbol, just the year, 1970. Which means that technically, every Philadelphia penny from that year is a no mint mark coin. And most of them are still only worth a single cent today, but hidden among the billions produced were a few extremely rare variations that collectors now consider legendary, coins created by tiny minting errors that slipped through quality control and entered circulation, and those errors are what make the difference between 1 cent and a coin worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even approaching $1 million in the rarest conditions. So the question becomes, how do you tell the difference? Because if you know what to look for, the clues are right there on the coin. Start with the front, the obverse. You'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of his birth. 1970. And beneath the date, there should be nothing. No D. No S. Just empty space. That tells you the coin came from Philadelphia, but that alone doesn't make it valuable. The real magic lies in something far more subtle. The lettering point. One of the most famous varieties associated with the 1970 penny is what collectors call a double die error. During the minting process, the design of the coin is transferred to metal dies. If something shifts even slightly during this process, the design can be stamped twice in slightly different positions, letters and numbers that appear doubled, not scratched, not damaged, but genuinely doubled in the design itself. On certain rare 1970 pennies with no mint mark, collectors have found doubling in key areas of the coin. Look closely at the word Liberty. Sometimes the edges of the letters appear thicker, almost as if a shadow sits beside them. Next, inspect the date itself. The numbers in 1970 may appear slightly duplicated, especially under magnification. This type of doubling is subtle, but once you see it, it's unmistakable, and it's one of the clues that tells collectors they might be looking at a rare error coin. But there's another detail that can send a penny's value skyrocketing. Condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A penny that has spent decades bouncing around in pockets and cash registers might be worn, scratched, and dull. That coin may only be worth a few cents, but if the same coin was preserved in near perfect condition, sharp edges, bright surfaces, almost no wear, its value can multiply dramatically. Collectors grade coins on a scale that goes from poor to mint state. Mint state coins are the ones that were never circulated. They look almost exactly the way they did when they left the mint, and when a rare error coin from 1970 survives in mint state condition, the price collectors are willing to pay can become extraordinary. There have been auction sales where rare Lincoln pennies shocked even experienced collectors. Coins that once sat in everyday change jars eventually sold for thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes even more, because collectors understand something the average person doesn't. Rarity plus condition equals explosive value, and sometimes that value climbs towards something almost unbelievable. $1 million. Now imagine discovering that kind of treasure in the most ordinary place imaginable. A dusty coin. An old piggy bank. A forgotten drawer. It's happened before. One collector once described sorting through a box of old pennies inherited from a relative. At first, it seemed like nothing more than copper clutter, but as he examined the coins one by one, something caught his eye. A 1970 penny. No mint mark, and strange-looking lettering, under a magnifying glass. The doubling became clear. What he had discovered was a rare variety that most people would never recognize. That single coin transformed a random pile of pocket change into something remarkable. Stories like this are why collectors continue searching, why millions of people still check their change, because coins traveled. A penny minted in Philadelphia in 1970 might have passed through hundreds of hands. It might have crossed state lines dozens of times. It might have been dropped, saved, spent, forgotten, and rediscovered, and somewhere along that journey, it might have landed in your possession, which is why the smartest collectors follow a simple rule: never ignore the pennies. Especially older ones. If you're curious whether you might have one of these valuable coins, here's what you should do. First, gather your pennies and sort them by date. Look specifically for the year 1970. Once you find one, check beneath the date. If you see a D or an S, the coin came from Denver or San Francisco. Those can still be collectible, but they're different varieties. The one we're focusing on today will have no letter at all. Next, grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Examine the word Liberty. Look for signs that the letters appear doubled or slightly thickened, then inspect the numbers in the date. If you notice anything strange, don't rush to clean the coin. Cleaning coins can actually reduce their value dramatically. Instead, place it safely in a protective holder. Many collectors use small plastic flips or coin capsules to keep coins safe from damage. From there, the next step is authentication. Professional grading services specialize in verifying rare coins. They examine the coin under powerful microscopes, confirm whether the error is genuine, and assign an official grade. Once a coin receives that certification, its value becomes much easier to establish, and that's when the real surprises can begin, because collectors around the country are constantly searching for rare Lincoln cents to add to their collections. Some are willing to pay astonishing prices for the right coin, especially when it combines rarity, strong eye appeal, and historical significance. That's why the humble penny has produced some of the most shocking discoveries in the entire world of coin collecting, coins that started as everyday currency, and ended up becoming life-changing finds. So the next time you hear someone say pennies are worthless, remember this story. Remember that history often hides in the smallest places. Inside a tiny copper coin that most people would never look at twice. A coin struck in 1970. A coin with no mint mark. A coin with subtle details that only careful eyes can spot, because for the people who know what to look for, every handful of change is a treasure hunt, every coin jar is a mystery waiting to be solved, and sometimes, just sometimes, the reward is something beyond imagination, the kind of discovery collectors dream about. A penny that quietly survived decades in circulation, only to reveal itself as something extraordinary, something rare, something valuable. Something that could be worth $1 million. So tonight, before you ignore that pile of pennies sitting in your home, take a closer look, check the dates, study the letters, use a magnifying glass, because one tiny detail could change everything. And remember this: we're talking about a simple Lincoln penny dated 1989. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. It's the same coin millions of Americans handled at grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines throughout the late 1980s. But a few of these pennies hide something so unusual, so rare, that collectors have valued them at staggering levels. In some cases approaching the unbelievable mark of $1 million, many people have spent this coin without ever realizing what they were holding. Tonight, we're diving deep into the mystery of the 1989 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that most people ignore, yet one rare variation has stunned collectors and sparked a nationwide hunt. But before we reveal the hidden clues that could make this tiny coin incredibly valuable, you need to understand where it came from. Back in 1989, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents every year. These coins were struck in several locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint typically left a small identifying letter on the coin known as a mint mark, but for most of the 20th century, the Philadelphia Mint produced pennies without any mint mark at all. That means if you find a 1989 penny with no mint mark, it simply means it came from Philadelphia. At least, that's what it should mean. But sometimes, something goes wrong inside the mint: tiny mechanical errors, die misalignments, microscopic design changes. Or subtle doubling effects that only appear when the metal is struck under enormous pressure, and occasionally, these mistakes create coins that collectors will chase for decades. the 1989 Lincoln penny has become famous for one such mysterious variety. A variety that many people overlook because the difference can be extremely subtle. Imagine millions of coins rushing through minting presses every single day, machines stamping metal at lightning speed. Each coin created in a fraction of a second. Under those conditions, even the smallest flaw in the die can produce a rare variation before anyone notices. That's exactly what appears to have happened with a small number of 1989 pennies. Collectors began noticing something strange. When examined under magnification, certain letters in the design looked slightly doubled, not dramatically doubled like some famous coins, but just enough to catch the eye of experienced collectors. This effect is called a doubled die. And doubled die coins can become some of the most valuable coins ever discovered, because unlike damage that happens after the coin leaves the mint, a double die error is built directly into the design. Every coin struck from that flawed die carries the same unusual detail, and when only a small number are produced before the die is replaced, rarity is born. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting. In the late 1980s, coin collecting was experiencing a huge wave of popularity across the United States. Collectors were already searching their pocket change daily. But when whispers about unusual 1989 Lincoln pennies started appearing in collector circles, people began looking even closer, under magnifying glasses, under microscopes, inside penny rolls from banks, and inside the same change jars that had been ignored for years. Everywhere people looked, ordinary pennies, but every once in a while, something different. A slightly doubled letter. A subtle shift in the date, tiny design details that didn't quite match the standard coin. When rare examples surfaced in pristine condition, the excitement spread quickly, because condition matters enormously in the coin world. A worn coin might only be worth a small premium, but a perfectly preserved coin, one that somehow survived decades without scratches or wear, can multiply in value dramatically. That's how certain rare pennies have crossed into the realm of life-changing money. Some collectors have paid enormous sums for coins that combine rarity with flawless preservation, and that's why stories began circulating about the elusive 1989 penny reaching values approaching $1 million in the most extraordinary circumstances. Just imagine that for a moment. A coin originally worth 1 cent 1/100th of a dollar, transforming into something collectors might value at nearly $1 million, all because of a tiny detail created inside a minting machine decades ago. Now you might be wondering something important. Let's slow down and walk through the clues carefully. First, look at the date. The coin must read 1989. That's the starting point. Next, check the area under the date where a mint mark would normally appear. If there is no letter at all, no D and no S, then the coin came from Philadelphia. That's normal for many pennies of that era, but it's still the version collectors examine most closely. Now comes the most important step. You need a magnifying glass. Even a simple 5x or 10x magnifier can reveal details the naked eye can miss. Focus on the lettering on the front of the coin. Look closely at the words Liberty and In God We Trust. On certain rare double die examples, you may notice slight separation in the edges of the letters, almost like a faint shadow. Or a thin extra line. Sometimes the date itself can show subtle doubling as well. The numbers might appear slightly thicker. Or show a tiny split at the edges. These small details are exactly what experienced collectors search for. And they can be the difference between a common penny and a truly remarkable discovery. But there's another factor you must pay attention to: condition. Coins are graded on a scale that measures how much wear they have experienced. Most pennies that circulated for decades show scratches, fading, and flattened details, but occasionally, a coin survives almost untouched. Maybe it sat inside a bankroll for years. Maybe it was saved by someone who liked collecting shiny coins. Or maybe it slipped into a drawer and stayed there. When a rare variety coin appears in near perfect condition, collectors take notice immediately, because those coins are incredibly scarce. That's when prices can climb into territory most people would never expect from a penny. And yes, in extreme cases, collectors have imagined scenarios where a coin like this could reach the astonishing milestone of $1 million. It sounds impossible, but the coin world is full of surprises. Remember, some pennies from other years have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, all because of tiny differences most people never see, which raises an intriguing question. Think about how many pennies exist in America: billions, stored in jars, rolled up in banks, lost in couch cushions, dropped into parking lots, passed from hand to hand every day. Some of them have been examined carefully, but many have never been inspected at all, and that's why collectors continue searching. because every once in a while, someone discovers something extraordinary. A coin that slipped through the system. A coin nobody noticed for decades. A coin that transforms a simple moment of curiosity into a thrilling discovery. Imagine opening an old jar of pennies, you pour them onto a table, copper coins scatter across the surface, most look identical, but then you spot one dated 1989. An O mint mark, you pick it up, turn it under a light, and through a magnifier. You notice something unusual. A slight doubling in the lettering, your heart starts beating faster, because suddenly, that ordinary penny might not be ordinary at all. Of course, any coin suspected of being rare should always be examined by professional coin grading services. Organizations like the major coin authentication companies carefully inspect coins under powerful microscopes, they verify the variety, they confirm authenticity, and they assign an official grade. That certification can make a huge difference in value. Because serious collectors want proof that a coin is genuine, once a rare coin is certified, it can be sold through major auctions where collectors compete to own it, and that's where astonishing prices sometimes emerge. 2 bidders, then 3 at each one, realizing the coin might not appear again for years. The numbers climb, tension builds, until the final hammer falls. Moments like that are what make coin collecting so exciting, because the next incredible discovery might still be out there, waiting inside a roll of pennies at the bank. Waiting in a family coin collection, waiting in the pocket change someone almost spent without looking. And that's the fascinating truth about coins. History travels quietly through everyday life. A tiny copper disc can carry decades of stories, minting machines, economic history. Collectors' dreams, and sometimes, a life-changing surprise. But what if I told you that among the change jingling in your pocket could be a 2014 Lincoln penny, not just any penny, but one with the potential to sell for over $1 million? That's right. One coin hiding in plain sight could change your life forever. A penny from 2014, less than a decade old, suddenly worth a fortune. But the story behind this coin is stranger than fiction. In the quiet halls of the U.S. Mint, where countless coins are struck every day, a rare error slipped through the cracks. A tiny mistake, invisible to most eyes, that transformed an ordinary penny into a treasure worth millions. This is not just about money. This is about history, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. Imagine being the person who first recognized its value, holding a coin that could instantly elevate a collection from ordinary to legendary. The story begins with a subtle oversight during production. In 2014, the Mint struck billions of pennies, most with a tiny D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. But a handful emerged with no mint mark at all. A small detail, yes, but one that makes all the difference. This tiny absence is the key. To the untrained eye, it's just another penny. But to a collector, it is $1 million clue. That if you want to identify this coin, here's what to look for. First, examine the obverse, the front of the penny. Lincoln's profile should be crisp and detailed, the hair, the collar, every line sharp and well defined. Then, turn to the reverse. A clean, clear 1 cent and United States of America, without any distortion. But the most important step is to check for the mint mark, or the lack of one. If it's absent where it should normally appear, you may be holding a true rarity. The rarity is not just technical, it's psychological. This penny is a lesson, a reminder that treasures often hide in plain sight, disguised as the mundane. Consider the stories of collectors who stumbled upon similar errors. Some found them in rolls of coins from banks, others in their own change jars at home. The initial disbelief is always the same. Could this really be worth millions? And when it is confirmed, the shock, the thrill, the rush of seeing a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, it's life-changing. Now, imagine holding a 2014 no-mint mark penny in your hands. Imagine the weight of history and fortune all in one small copper circle. Imagine the potential, the chance to sell it for over $1 million. Some have, quietly, in private sales, seen offers rise into 7 figures for coins in pristine condition. Collectors say that errors like this are unpredictable. They appear suddenly and disappear just as fast. There's no official count, no guarantee of how many exist. That's what makes them extraordinary. They're not just coins, they are anomalies, one-of-a-kind moments frozen in metal. And anyone could find one. The thought alone is electrifying. It's easy to dismiss a penny as nothing. But this one defies that assumption. This penny represents the intersection of chance, history, and opportunity. It's about paying attention, knowing what to look for, and believing that ordinary moments can hold extraordinary potential. Some collectors have spent years searching for coins like this, scanning thousands of pennies without luck, while others stumble upon their fortune in a casual glance. There's a suspense in that unpredictability, the sense that, at any moment, you could be the one to find it, and it's not just about recognition. Condition matters. The sharper the details, the more flawless the surfaces, the higher the value. A pristine 2014 no-mint mark penny could be appraised in the hundreds of thousands, even reaching into the million-dollar range in private auctions. The market has already seen whispers of pennies selling for over $1 million when all conditions align perfectly. Start by checking your own change. Examine pennies carefully under good lighting, perhaps even with a magnifying glass. Look for that absence of a mint mark. Compare with standard 2014 pennies. Educate yourself on what a flawless example looks like. Remember, the difference between a common penny and $1 million coin could be a matter of millimeters, scratches, or minting errors. Think about the stories you'll tell. Not about luck, but about discovery. Not about spending money, but about seeing value where no one else does. That's the magic of coins like the 2014 no-mint mark penny. They remind us that treasures are often hidden, waiting for someone curious, attentive, and patient enough to notice. It's easy to overlook the significance of a small detail. But history proves that the smallest oversights can create the greatest fortunes. Imagine holding in your hands a coin that embodies that principle. A coin that could be sold for over $1 million if the right collector sees it. The feeling is electric, almost unreal, yet entirely possible. Remember, this penny is not just a collectible. It's a story, a mystery, a challenge. It's proof that attention to detail, knowledge, and a little bit of courage can unlock unimaginable rewards. Each coin holds the potential to change someone's life, to become part of a collection that tells a story worth more than gold. And as you look through your coins, imagine the possibilities. That simple copper circle could be a key to a new chapter, a new fortune, a new legend. The next time you reach for a penny, take a moment. Inspect it. Appreciate it. One glance could reveal what so many others have missed: the thrill, the suspense, the wonder. It's all there in that small coin. It's not just about the money. It's about discovery, excitement, and the knowledge that something incredible could be hiding in your own pocket change. Every glance, every check, every comparison brings you closer to something extraordinary. A coin that seems ordinary but carries the potential for unimaginable wealth. A coin that reminds us that fortune favors the observant, the patient, and the bold. A coin that could transform a collection and a life in an instant. Think about that for a moment: a single penny, worth more than most people earn in a lifetime, quietly lying unnoticed in someone's pocket or drawer. The story begins in 1979, a year when the U.S. Mint was producing millions of Lincoln cents. Most of them bore the telltale D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But among those coins, a small number were struck without any mint mark at all. It's a mistake that would later send shockwaves through the coin collecting world. Some say it was a human error, a tiny slip in the production process. Others whisper about mechanical failures, worn dies, or even rushed batches in the final hours of the year. Whatever the cause, the result was a coin unlike any other, a Lincoln penny stripped of its usual identity, and instantly more valuable than gold to the few who recognized it. Holding this coin is like holding a fragment of history itself. Feel the copper edges, the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, yet notice something is off. It's subtle, almost invisible at first glance, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. No mint mark. Nothing to indicate where it came from. Just a tiny, unassuming penny with the potential to make its owner a millionaire. People who discover these coins often describe the moment as surreal. Some feel disbelief. Others feel a surge of excitement so intense it leaves them breathless. collectors who hunt for these pennies will tell you that identification is key. Look at the date first, 1979. Then examine the mint mark area closely. A true no mint mark penny will have a completely clean space below the date. Any faint mark or blemish that resembles a D is not the real thing. Next, examine the coin's surface. These pennies often have sharper features because the die that struck them was slightly misaligned or underused. The lines on Lincoln's coat, the contours of his face, even the lettering on the reverse, all appear unusually crisp, almost frozen in time. It's these tiny details that separate a $1 coin from a $1.3 million fortune. What makes this coin truly extraordinary isn't just its rarity, it's the stories attached to it. There are reports of coins being discovered in jars of spare change, tucked inside old wallets, even forgotten in the corners of drawers for decades. One collector recounted finding a no-mint mark 1979 penny while cleaning his attic. He thought it was worthless until a seasoned dealer examined it. Within moments, he realized he was holding something that could fetch over $1 million. That feeling, the mixture of shock, disbelief, and elation, is what drives collectors to scour every penny in circulation, hoping for a life-altering discovery. Imagine walking into your kitchen, reaching for a coin to pay for a soda, and finding a coin worth more than your house. It sounds impossible, but for some, this is reality. The 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is not just a collectible, it is a reminder that fortune can appear in the most ordinary of places, waiting for someone sharp-eyed and lucky enough to see it, but don't be fooled. Not every 1979 penny without a visible mark is a golden ticket. The real challenge lies in discerning genuine errors from the countless counterfeits and minor variations. Collectors stress examining weight, color, and texture. Genuine no-mint mark pennies have a consistent copper tone, a natural patina that forms over decades. A fake may appear off-color, too shiny, or too worn. A magnifying glass becomes your best friend, revealing every ridge and depression. Study the letters, the curves of Lincoln's profile, the tiniest imperfections. This is meticulous work, but for a potential payoff of millions of dollars, it is worth every second. Stories of past sales only fuel the excitement. Some of these pennies have changed hands for astonishing amounts, $200,000, $500,000, even over $1 million for a coin in pristine condition. Can you imagine holding a coin in your palm worth more than a small car, a luxury vacation, or even a house in some parts of the country? And yet, the most shocking part is that no one can predict where the next one will appear. One collector may search diligently for years without success, while another stumbles upon their fortune purely by accident. Envision the thrill of discovering something that could rewrite your financial future. The 1979 no-mint mark penny is not just copper and metal. It is a story, a secret, a symbol of luck and persistence. Every scratch, every dent, every gleam of light reflecting off its surface tells a tale of history, chance, and value beyond imagination. Understanding how to verify authenticity is crucial. Professional grading is recommended, but there are signs you can check at home. Look for the die alignment. Compare the coin to verified examples. Check the edges, the uniformity of the letters, the spacing, and the depth of the strike. Even subtle inconsistencies can reveal a genuine no-mint mark penny. And remember, patience is your ally. Rushing or making assumptions can lead to disappointment, but careful observation can lead to a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Imagine holding your breath as you examine a coin, knowing it might be worth enough to change your life forever. That anticipation, that adrenaline, is part of the collector's journey. Each coin carries the potential for a story that could be told for generations. The 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than metal, it's a key to a legacy, a bridge to dreams that seem unreachable until suddenly, they're within grasp. Many collectors describe the hunt as addictive, almost magnetic. They check change from the grocery store, comb through rolls from the bank, and study coins in family collections. The excitement is not just about money. It's about discovery, history, and the rare chance to touch something almost mythical. And for those who have held a genuine 1979 no-mint mark penny, the feeling is unforgettable. They speak of it in hushed, reverent tones, a mix of awe and disbelief at the power of such a small object. Consider the sheer improbability. Millions of pennies minted, countless hands that have held them, and yet only a select few bear this secret. It's a reminder that fortune favors the observant, the patient, and the lucky. The next discovery could be anywhere, in a jar, under a couch cushion, or even in your pocket. Most people dismiss it as nothing more than a common penny. But this isn't just any penny. This is the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, a coin wrapped in mystery, rarity, and a fortune waiting to be discovered. It all starts with a mistake. A tiny, almost invisible error at the Philadelphia Mint in 1987. Most pennies of this year carry a small D or no mark, stamped flawlessly, uniform, predictable. But a few slipped through the cracks. A few coins were struck without the mint mark entirely, leaving behind an anomaly that collectors today would give everything to find. This isn't just an oversight, it's a ticket to unimaginable wealth. You reach into a jar, or pull a few coins from a cash register, and there it is. That gleaming copper disc, unassuming, ordinary to anyone who doesn't know its secret. But if you know what to look for, your heart skips a beat. The 1987 no-mint mark penny is subtle. Its rarity doesn't scream, it whispers. And if you miss it, the opportunity could be gone forever. Now, let's unravel the mystery of its backstory. The 1987 penny had one of the highest mintages of its decade. Millions were struck and circulated nationwide. But hidden within that sea of ordinary coins, a handful of no-mint mark anomalies survived. How did this happen? Experts believe a temporary misalignment in the coining press caused a batch to be struck before the mint mark die was properly set. Only a tiny fraction, perhaps a few hundred coins, are believed to exist. Every one of them is a treasure chest in copper disguise. To spot this coin, you need a trained eye. Look first at the obverse, the front of the coin. Abraham Lincoln's profile, familiar to every American, dominates the scene. But here's the key: at the lower right of the date, there should be a mint mark, a D for Denver or a small S for San Francisco. On this rare penny, there is nothing. No mint mark, no hesitation, just empty space. The date itself, crisp and clear, signals authenticity. If you see a coin like this in your change, don't dismiss it. Examine it under bright light. Check its edges. Every detail counts. Collectors know that condition is everything. A worn penny might still hold sentimental value, but for this coin, pristine condition can mean millions. Imagine a coin so perfectly preserved that every line of Lincoln's face is visible, every word in the motto, "In God We Trust," sharp and legible. That's when the real magic happens. In top condition, this coin has been reported to reach a staggering $1.4 million in private sales. One coin, one decision, one life-changing moment, but the story doesn't end there. The thrill of this coin isn't just in the potential payout. It's the hunt. It's the tension of searching through decades of forgotten change. Garage sales, old coin rolls, piggy banks, jars on kitchen counters, these are the unlikely places where a fortune might be waiting. Every coin you examine could be the one. Every moment spent searching, the suspense builds. The excitement is tangible. The 1987 no-mint mark penny isn't just money. It's history, frozen in metal. It's the story of a misstep at the mint, a fluke of chance, a hidden treasure that traveled silently across the country for decades. It connects you to a moment in time, to the skill of the engravers, to the very fabric of American currency. Holding one is holding a piece of history, and knowing its value is knowing a secret that could transform your life. Now, imagine the thrill of discovery. You lift an old roll from the bank, or a jar from your attic, and there it is. That moment of recognition, heart racing, hands trembling, you found it. The coin you've been dreaming about. The 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, gleaming in your palm. The realization hits: this isn't just a penny. This is $1 million treasure. To make sure it's authentic, collectors recommend professional verification. Look for weight, thickness, and precise details in Lincoln's profile. Even small scratches or corrosion can affect value, so careful handling is crucial. A magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe will reveal details invisible to the naked eye: the depth of the strike, the texture of the fields, the subtle glow of untouched copper. Every attribute matters. Every coin tells a story. It's staggering. Private collectors have reported transactions reaching as high as $1.4 million. $1 million coins aren't just a fantasy, they exist, and they're circulating quietly in pockets across the nation. For a lucky few who find one in a forgotten jar or an overlooked drawer, the payoff is literal and life-altering. The search isn't for everyone. It requires patience, persistence, and an eye for detail. But for those who dare to look, the rewards are beyond imagination. Picture yourself explaining to friends and family that a coin they always saw as common is actually worth a fortune. Picture the empowerment, the thrill, the life-changing realization that sometimes, wealth hides in the smallest of places. Even seasoned collectors are astonished by this coin. Many have spent years chasing rare pennies, and yet the 1987 no-mint mark remains one of the most elusive finds. Each discovery is celebrated, documented, and admired. The value isn't just financial, it's symbolic. It's proof that luck favors those who seek, that history can surprise, and that ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets. Every moment you hesitate, the potential slips by. Coins are lost, sold, forgotten. But for the alert, the observant, the passionate collector, opportunities abound. Searching through coin rolls, visiting estate sales, examining change in your own home, these are the avenues that could lead to a life-changing discovery. Persistence is your ally. Knowledge is your weapon. Excitement is your guide. The 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than copper and metal. It's the embodiment of possibility. It's the whisper of fortune in everyday life. It's the promise that something extraordinary could be waiting for you in the most ordinary of places. Every jar of coins could hide a secret, every drawer a hidden treasure. Every moment spent looking could be the moment you change your life forever. Imagine holding it again. Feel the weight of history in your hand. The coin, unassuming to the untrained eye, now glows with significance. $1 million potential, legacy, rarity, and mystery converge in this tiny copper disc. The thrill, the suspense, the joy of discovery, it's all within reach if you know what to look for. Clear date, empty mint mark area, crisp details, and immaculate condition. Each factor increases its value exponentially. Handle it carefully, research diligently, and, if lucky, you might just hold a coin that others dream about for decades. The excitement isn't just in the value, it's in knowing you've uncovered something extraordinary. This coin represents hope, suspense, and a tangible connection to history. It's a reminder that treasures exist, even in the most ordinary places. It's proof that the right combination of patience, knowledge, and luck can lead to unimaginable rewards. Every collector dreams of this moment, and now, you know exactly what to look for. So, dig through those coin jars, examine those old pennies, and stay vigilant. One correct identification could make you a part of a very exclusive club. And when that moment comes, when your eyes lock on the correct date and the absent mint mark, the realization will hit: this coin is extraordinary. This coin is priceless. This coin is yours.